Scene script. Have you ever wondered how one of none succeeded in appeasing both sides? The stage was set for a conflict that would reverberate through the decades. As we see, the seeds of this conflict were sown during a tumultuous time in world history. The origins of the Israel-Palestine issue are deeply rooted in historical events, political decisions, and the clashing aspirations of two distinct national movements. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this intricate tapestry in our next scene. But how did the State of Israel come into existence amidst this chaos? The answer takes us back to the aftermath of the Second World War. The world was reeling from the horrors of a conflict that had claimed millions of lives. Among the darkest chapters of this war was the Holocaust, a systematic state-sponsored genocide by Nazi Germany that resulted in the death of 6 million Jews. In the wake of these atrocities, there was a growing international consensus that the Jewish people who had endured centuries of persecution deserved a homeland of their own. This sentiment was especially strong among the survivors of the Holocaust, many of whom had been left stateless and destitute. The task of finding a solution fell to the United Nations, an international body established after the Second World War to promote peace and cooperation among nations. The UN proposed a plan to partition the British-controlled territory of Palestine into two states, one Arab, one Jewish. On November 29, 1947, the United Nations General Assembly passed Resolution 181, supporting the partition of Palestine. Despite opposition from Arab nations, the State of Israel was officially proclaimed on May 14, 1948, but the birth of Israel was not a peaceful one. Almost immediately, neighboring Arab nations, rejecting the partition of Palestine, launched an attack. This led to the First Arab-Israeli War, a conflict fraught with violence and displacement. The war ended with a series of armistice agreements in 1949, leaving Israel in control of much of the former Palestinian territory. The conflict resulted in an exodus of Palestinian Arabs, laying the groundwork for future tensions. The creation of Israel was a moment of triumph and tragedy. For the Jewish people, it was the fulfillment of a long-held dream of a national homeland. For the Palestinians and the Arab world, it was a catastrophe, a Nakba, that uprooted hundreds of thousands from their homes. With the birth of a new nation, the stage was set for decades of strife. Fast forward to 1967, and we are at the brink of another major turning point, the Six-Day War. This was a brief but profoundly impactful war, lasting only from June 5th to June 10th. It saw the State of Israel pitted against an alliance of Arab nations, Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. The war was swift but brutal, and by the end, Israel had managed to seize control of several territories. These included the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, the Golan Heights from Syria, and the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan. This was a significant expansion of Israel's borders, and it set the stage for many of the tensions and conflicts that would follow. One of the most immediate and enduring consequences of the Six-Day War was the displacement of Palestinian Arabs. As Israel took control of these territories, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were forced to flee their homes. This created a massive refugee crisis that still persists today, with many Palestinians living in refugee camps in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and other neighboring countries. The occupation of these territories also led to a significant shift in the geopolitical landscape. Israel found itself in control of a large Palestinian population, leading to a complex and often fraught relationship. This situation has resulted in ongoing tensions, conflicts, and negotiations over the years. The aftermath of the Six-Day War also marked a significant shift in the global perception of the Israel-Palestine conflict. The war and its aftermath highlighted the stark power imbalance between Israel and the Palestinians, drawing international attention and concern. The Camp David summit was followed by a period of escalated violence known as the Second Intifada. This violent uprising lasted for about 5 years and resulted in a tragic loss of life on both sides. It further deepened the mistrust and hostility between Israelis and Palestinians. And failure. So, what could the road ahead look like? The path to peace is fraught with challenges, but not impossible. The two-state solution, where Israel and Palestine would exist side by side as independent nations, is still widely seen as the most viable resolution. Yet it requires compromises and sacrifices that both sides seem reluctant to make. There are also proposals for a one-state solution, where Israelis and Palestinians would live together in a single democratic state. This, however, raises questions about the nature of such a state and whether it could truly satisfy the national aspirations of both peoples. While the road to peace may seem long, understanding the history of this conflict is a vital step towards finding a solution. Despite the challenges, hope persists. After all, history has shown us that even the most entrenched conflicts can find resolution.